International Teachers' Day is observed every year on October 5th to consider issues relating to teachers and the teaching profession. It focuses on appreciation assessment and changes required for teachers, while key players, especially in government, deploy means to honor teachers for their contribution towards attainment of educational goals and national development. The theme for this year is Teacher at the Heart of Education Recovery. It's to showcase the effect of coronavirus pandemic on teaching globally. On Panorama today, coming to you live from the Lagos Network Center of the Nigerian Television Authority, we will highlight effective and promising policies response aimed at establishing the steps to be taken to ensure that the teaching profession develop their full potential. My guest is already seated here. I am Kendi Adebisi. We'll be right back. Nigeria has made a strong case for all the parties in the dispute over the last parliamentary election in Ethiopia to bury the differences, come together and chart a new course for the unity, progress, and general well-being of the country and its citizens. President Muhammadu Buhari made the submission in a goodwill message to government and people of Ethiopia at the inauguration of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed for a second term in office. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu reports.
The massive turnout of Ethiopians at the iconic Meskel Square, Addis Ababa, for the inauguration ceremony clearly shows the level of popularity, acceptability, and respectability of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed in Ethiopia, regarded as the mother of African independence. In the last parliamentary elections, for instance, that guaranteed the renewal of his mandate for a second 5-year term, his Prosperity Party recorded a landslide victory, winning 410 out of the 436 federal parliamentary seats. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed is, however, beginning his new term in office at a time the nearly 1-year deadly conflict in the Tigray region is worsening humanitarian conditions in the area, weakening the economy of Ethiopia and affecting his image internationally. In a goodwill message, President Muhammadu Buhari expressed the conviction that the outcome of the elections not only reflects the people's desire for transformation, but also affirms their confidence in the Prime Minister's leadership, courage, and credentials.
We are all aware of the many challenges facing the people of Ethiopia, and we encourage all parties to come together in the interest of the unity, progress, and well-being of Ethiopia. Your Excellency, you therefore have a great opportunity to continue to work for the peace and stability of Ethiopia.
While wishing the Prime Minister a very successful tenure in office, President Muhammadu Buhari looks forward to a more fruitful and robust engagement between Nigeria and Ethiopia.
Nigeria, like many other countries, is counting on your leadership by expanding investment opportunities, deepening relations, and building trust at home and abroad. I assure you that Nigeria will continue to support the unity and territorial integrity of Ethiopia.
Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, who was earlier sworn in the House of the People's Representatives, pledged to execute his mandate with faith to the Constitution of Ethiopia. The challenges ahead, he emphasized, might be daunting but not insurmountable. Several heads of state and government attended the colorful and remarkable event in solidarity. From Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Government of the 36th state of the Federation is seeking an order of the Supreme Court compelling the federal government to take up the funding of the capital project for the State High Court, Sharia Court of Appeal, and Customary Court of Appeal. Counsel to the governors sought the order at the hearing of the suit filed by them at the Supreme Court. Judiciary correspondent Vera Chumoba reports that lawyers who appeared as friends of the court made submissions.
Another order of the Supreme Court to compel the federal government to pay them 66 billion naira, being amount they have so far expended on capital projects for the 3 courts in their states. Plaintiff's counsel Augustine Alege SAN informed the panel of 7 justices of the court, led by Justice Muhammad Musa Datibe, that the courts are of the Federation and as such funding of their capital projects should flow from the Consolidated Revenue Fund. Section 81 of the Constitution should be invoked to place the responsibility of funding capital projects on the federal government. However, the Attorney General of the Federation, represented by Tijani Ghazali SAN, vehemently opposed the request of the state governments. The defendant counsel, who predicted his argument on the fact that while the issue of salaries and emoluments are expressly stated in the Constitution as the responsibility of the federal government, the section is silent on capital projects.
It constitutes an abuse of court process, res judicata, and issue escopel.
It is an innovation, it is a commendable one, and that we must begin to implement it such that judiciary will no longer be at the beck and call of a governor or of a president.
I adopted certain interpretation of law which did not allow me to align with them.
The constitution is explicit. The federation is just to bear allowances and salaries, not capital expenditure.
After listening to the submission of the parties, Justice Datijo reserved judgment, which he said would be communicated to all parties. In Abuja, Biara Chumuba, NTA News.
Nigeria has made significant progress on economic diversification in recent years through the federal government's support of critical sectors such as agriculture and ICT. This is the consensus of members of the business community in Abuja during the engagement with the African Peer Review Mission towards the validation of Nigeria's country's self-assessment report. Metaire Ipe reports.
The fact that Nigeria is opened for transparent assessment of its governance processes is considered heartwarming by the African Peer Review Mission.
Very few presidents take this bold step to allow the other countries to come and review their policies.
The new 2020 KAMA law makes stringent provisions for transparency in the leadership, board and finances of corporate organizations, including not-for-profit organizations.
On corporate governance and ease of doing business, key players applauded the Nigerian government for marching words with action and moving away from over-dependence on oil within a short time.
The CBN loan has assisted some of the farmers to be able to get funds. Payment of the loan has been extended. The interest rate, a lot of issues have been waived.
Doing business becomes an easy approach. Coming into the country to set up business becomes an easy approach. And I think technology is also helping.
We have pieced our information together, even from the market women, the rural dwellers.
The validation of the country's self-assessment report will produce a new national plan of action.
It will consolidate our gains of democracy, proffer solution to it, and be able to champion a way forward for our future.
The APROM team will also compare notes with other sectors in the coming days and weeks. In Abuja, Metaire Ikben, NTA News.
Social media platforms like Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram were shut down owing to an internal technical glitch. That's according to Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg, who tendered an apology for the failure, said there was no foul play. Information and communication technology correspondent Joseph Johnson reports.
For whatever reasons, the fact is, billions of people globally were for several hours, 6 hours actually, denied access to some social media platforms owned by an individual, Mark Zuckerberg. The social media platforms include Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram.
While some Nigerians frown at the development, especially as businesses were negatively impacted, some others say it is high time Nigeria fast-tracked the development of indigenous apps and patronized them.
I'm used to Instagram, and I don't even know how I manage the situation. I wasn't like, this phone is useless, so I just dropped my phone because I don't see any need holding it when Instagram is not working and also WhatsApp is not working.
It's not, to me it's not good, and for one man to just hold the whole world at ransom at that 6 hours, I think is something to talk about. Like, it's so disturbing. So I think the Facebook management have to do something fast about it so that it will not occur again.
He didn't really speak well for some persons, people that are online content creator and all of that. Yeah. And there's another aspect to it that we must see is that we have attached this thing to our existence. I read an article online that someone said she just sat down, she read her Bible, she called her grandpa, called her grandma, and she felt lonely. So we have so much attached our livelihoods to this thing.
Yesterday it was a bit frustrating because I could not access it, and I like making video calls with my friends, so it was really boring. So I had to make phone calls, we had to communicate through normal calls. It was not fun.
And it was like the world is going to an end or something. Because yesterday I was like, Rapture is not even coming safe. That everybody should just be Abuja. So that's how I felt yesterday.
Although the services have since been restored, but the development, many say, has shown how human interactions today are at the mercy of tech giants. Joseph Johnson, NTA News.
Joseph for that update. In review of recent seizures connected with trade in wildlife, the Nigerian Customs Service is to carry out a DNA test on seized pangolin scales and elephant tusk to ascertain the country of origin. The National Public Relations Officer of the service, Joseph Atta, said this is imperative to intensify its crackdown on illegal wildlife trade. Marco Olale reports.
Exactly 2 months ago, pangolin scales, claws, and elephant tusks worth 22 billion naira were intercepted and seized by the Customs Strike Force Team Zone A. Just last month, donkey skins close to 12,000 pieces built for exports were equally intercepted at their Apapa ports. Like a stillborn defiling all medications, the trade in wildlife persists, and this time, more than 1,000 kilograms of pangolin scales and claws, carefully arranged in 15 sacks, were seized along Kudirat Abiola Way, Oregun, Lagos. The discovery was not accidental, but a product of credible intelligence in the process of further investigation to arrest other members of gang indicted in the August 4 seizure.
2 suspects have already been arrested in connection with this seizure. They will also be charged to court to answer for their crime.
The customs, no doubt, is receiving support from the wildlife justice system and embassies of USA, UK, and Germany. But stopping the flow of this illicit trade is, however, instilling new ideas.
We have some of our international collaborators who are around to conduct a DNA test so that we really know exactly which country, which origin, and all that.
The clarion call from the customs is that all members of the public must join the vanguard to end trade in endangered species for the preservation of the ecosystem. In Lagos, Michael Alale, NTA News.
The National Executive Council of the Joint Health Sector Union, JOHESU, and Assembly of Healthcare Professional Association, has agreed that the strike billed to begin midnight of October 4th be put on hold until the outcome of their meeting with the federal government scheduled for the 6th of October. The NEC, in a communique signed by the Acting National Secretary, Matthew Ajotutu, on behalf of JOHESU National Chairman, says the union's leadership reasoned that it was necessary to give the federal government a conducive environment to present an update on the 6th of October and development with regards to the major demands of JOHESU, especially in the area of adjustment of COHES, as it was done with commerce for doctors. The communique commended the federal government for the marginal paradigm shift in resolving some of its demands, particularly as it relates to the ongoing payment of outstanding COVID-19 inducement and asset allowance. JOHESU added that in a bid to avoid an endless circus show, the Wednesday, October 6, 2021 meeting will be the ultimate litmus test to evaluate the seriousness of the government in resolving the adjustment of course, which has lingered since January 2014, and also determine the depth of industrial harmony in the health sector. This is Panorama reaching you live from the Lagos Network Center of the NTA. Let's take a short break. The news continues shortly.
Nigerians, coronavirus is dangerous. It can kill. When you see this sign, high fever, cough, shortness of breath, drowsiness, pneumonia, don't panic, don't hide, don't embark in self-medication. Promptly visit the nearest medical facility. Report all cases to the nearest hospital. Prevention is key. Avoid contact with infected persons. Avoid crowded areas as much as possible. Wash your hands regularly. Use hand sanitizers. Your life is precious. Stay alive. Live long, live right. This message is sponsored by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture and the Nigerian Film Corporation. Nigerian Film Corporation, powering possibility.
Glad to know that you're still there with us. And now to the issue of the day. In acknowledging the role of teachers and their significant contribution to nation building, UNESCO set aside October 5th of every year to celebrate and appreciate them. As the world marks this year's Teachers' Day, Diana Ajale examines strategies adapted to strengthening the education sector amidst COVID-19.
It has been established that no nation can fully develop without the active participation of youth. Education is an important path to achieving desired development. This buttresses the pivotal position of teachers to the growth of any society.
Tell them that school has what?
As the world continues to grapple with the coronavirus pandemic, this year's theme, Teachers at the Heart of Education Recovery, focuses on reviving the education system, which have been threatened by COVID-19 pandemic for almost 2 years. Apart from appreciating and accessing the required changes, the day is used to highlight issues relating to teachers' development and the teaching profession. The use of technology also plays a crucial role in bridging the gap and improving teaching and learning. In Nigeria, however, teachers over the years have been faced with many challenges, including poor remuneration, which have led to incessant industrial action, security issues as a result of frequent kidnapping and killing of students and teachers across many states. As the world marks this year's Teachers' Day, stakeholders in the education sector are calling for a more secure and conducive learning environment for enhanced service delivery.
Our desire is that government should put policies and programs in place that we attract brighter and younger generation to take up the teaching appointment.
Teachers' Day is an occasion that pays tribute to teachers and tends to resolve issues regarding the profession and tries to attract young minds towards the teaching profession. In Lagos, Diana Ajale, NTA News.
Joining me live in the studio is Folawe Omikole, a committed educationist with passion to improving the educational standard in the country. She led the Basic Education Committee of Human Capital Development Commission at the Nigerian Economic Summit Group. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
You've got to have you here. All right, straight to our discussion. The year 2020 was a very traumatic year for a lot of people, and the world was hit. We woke up and COVID-19 was here. The education sector was not spared in all of this. How do you think the theme for this year's celebration, Teachers' Day celebration, is accurate to addressing some of the issues we faced in 2020?
Thank you so much. And I think the theme is so apt for a time like this. Teachers at the heart of the recovery. When you think about the experience that we went through, like you mentioned and highlighted, I don't know that it was only the Nigerian education system, but it was education system across the world that felt the impact of schools being locked down, schools being shut, whereby we realized that, certain communities couldn't access, they couldn't continue learning because they didn't have the technology to do so. Also, the students weren't trained to take ownership of their own learning. The teachers also didn't have resources to be able to navigate the education system the way it was. So when we think about the theme is so apt because when you think about a human being, without the heart, it cannot function. You know, that person can function. It's exactly the same thing with what the teacher means for the education system. You know, there's research that has shown that no education system can surpass the quality of its teachers. I think what COVID-19 and the pandemic year showed to us was the critical role that teachers played within our education system. The teachers are the core of every education system. And I was fortunate enough to engage with some SS3 students post the pandemic when they were about to start writing their WAEC exams. Yes. And a lot of them did not point to a technological platform that was supporting them to learn. It was the teacher who was organizing learning groups on WhatsApp, on Facebook, on Telegram. It was that teacher, and I sampled several students across different schools who were talking about the teachers who were using these technological tools to still engage them in learning, who were still sending home worksheets, who were still sending them guidelines on what they should learn and prepare. So when you think about that theme, our teachers are at the core of getting us out of this. Our teachers are at the core of helping us to, you know, get back from all the learning loss. You know, our teachers are at the core from helping us because, you know, we also had social-emotional loss, not just, you know, the cognitive, not just the content, but we also had a situation where, you know, there was mental health issues with students. The students didn't feel engaged. The social attributes of being in school. Yes. Teachers who were able to build relationships, rebuild connections with their students, with parents of their students, were seen to have been successful, you know, with their kids. So,
I want to take you from there. You know, now we're back. We're gradually returning to that back to school. Children are going back to school now. What are some of the things that we need to do, you know, to ensure that we don't have the lapses we had last year? And how do we also help this profession, you know, to improve? You know, teachers are respected all over the world, but it looks like things are gradually changing. How do we also help teachers?
So, you know, one of the things that breaks my heart a lot of times when I speak to young, you know, students, and you ask them what you want to become in future, before you find one student who would say teacher, you would have sampled at least 50 students who would say doctor, engineer, journalist, lawyer, and the likes. Nobody wants to become a teacher. But I tell you, it's the most noble profession where you can directly impact lives. But in translation, we don't see that. You know, teachers are not, we don't see that teachers are well taken care of. It's not a job that you look forward to. You know, we're not putting them out there to share their stories, you know, to share their passion of what they're doing, to share how they're impacting lives. You see what I mean? And so I think that we really need to celebrate our teachers, yes, but in celebrating them as well, let us provide the resources for them to be able to carry out their jobs, you know, properly. Let's provide opportunities for them to really invest in themselves, in their professional development. Let us train our teachers and equip them. I've been working in a sector whereby I engage with some educators and you hear them say things like, I've been teaching for the past 17 years and I haven't gone on any refresher course.
Okay, I would have to cut you there because of time, but we are glad that our teachers have been celebrated, and we also celebrate you too for doing this for our teachers. I've been speaking with Miss Folawe Omekunle, an educationist. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. All right, moving on now, we go to sports update, and Olumide Iguntola is our guide.
The Super Eagles camp in Lagos officially opened on Monday ahead of the 2022 World Cup qualifying matches against Central African Republic. The first leg is slated for 7th October at the Teslim Balogun Stadium, while the Eagles will be away on the 10th for the reverse fixture. In a related development, head coach of Nigeria's Falconets, Christopher Danjuma, says the team will not underrate the under-20 women's national team from Central African Republic when both sides clash in the second leg of the FIFA World Cup qualifier at the Mobolaji Johnson Arena, Lagos on Wednesday.
We are not coming to approach the match as if it was scored 7 already. We're coming to that match as if it's the match that gets us to qualify.
We promise to put smiles on every Nigerian faces and to make each of Nigerian proud out there.
In grassroots football, Ebute Eletusura football team, a match champion of the maiden edition of the Unity Cup organized by Honorable Olanrewaju Afini, the lawmaker representing Lagos Island Constituency 2. The team smiled home with the title at the expense of campus football team.
The competition is about fostering love, so I hope that we can love our neighbors as ourselves.
And if you look at what these guys displayed today, they are international materials.
From Uyo, John Paul alumni reports that Blue Diamonds Cricket Club have emerged champions of the 2021 Ibom Cricket League.
And that's all on Panorama today. Thank you for watching. I am Kendi Adebisi.